Welcome back, agents, to another episode of Prime Tips. Hey, this time we're going to be talking about in-person first Saturdays. Now, if you've only been playing for about a year, because of COVID, you may not have been to an in-person first Saturday. You may not know what one is. So we're going to look at one, and hopefully in the future we'll be able to do one here soon. So let's take a look at them. Well, what are they? Basically, they're kind of like the virtual first Saturdays if you've gone to one of those. If you don't, they're a cross-faction event. Now, the difference is they have a designated location that you have to go to. So that can make a big difference. The events usually are within a 2-hour window, but typically it's really like 4 hours, and we'll look at that. They can be in conjunction with other in-person events. So things like mission days, or if you're lucky enough, the NL1313 van might be there. That might be an event. Maybe there's a Go Ruck event, a hexathlon going on nearby. But a lot, probably most of them, are just in-person events that are first Saturday and that's all it's done. May have some missions or some other things to go along with it. And we'll talk about events and games that typically go with them. So they usually have a gathering before and after the event where you can meet and greet, eat, party, those type of things. They're really good for getting a lot of AP quickly. A lot of people say that, they're kind of sanctioned win trading. Now, if you're not familiar with that term, win trading, it's one of the things that they frown upon. Actually, I think it's in the service agreement that you say that you check mark, saying that you won't do it. And basically, win trading is when you get make a deal with a player on the other side, and you build a portal, they tear it down, they build it, you tear it down, or you build and they attack, and then they build and you attack, and you just do that back and forth. If it happens while you're playing, well, that's fine. But if you say, hey, I'll meet you in the park at 10 o'clock and we'll do this for 2 hours, that's a different deal. Except when you're doing a first Saturday event. It's a great place for gear swaps or gear drops or gear farming, especially if you live in a rural area and you're not where you're with other agents very much. This is a great time for you to get that gear or to farm that gear. It's great for trading swag. So if you have pins or cards or things like that you want to trade or possibly purchase or things like that, it's a good place for that. Since you are going to a location, it's great for getting those uniques. So if you go to different places for First Saturdays, it puts you in a town or a city that you've not been in, so you can spend the time getting those uniques. Great for missions. Again, you're in an area that you don't usually go to, so the missions are there. If you got the time, you probably want to knock out a mission or two. And it will give you that tick on your first Saturday medal. So, if you go there and you follow the rules, you'll get that medal, that badge. Okay? One other thing. If you attend it in person, it's different in that you do have to go to that location. That's the big deal. So how do you go about doing it if you're going to attend one? So you're probably first going to shop around for a location, depending upon where you live. So you can go to bit.ly/Ingress Saturday. I made a little short one there for you with a capital I and an S, or fevgames.net/ifs-reg. You can probably just Google First Saturday Ingress, and you'll get there as well. So some of the things that you need to take in consideration, since this is different from the virtual First Saturday, is travel to the location. Can you get to the area during the time period that you need to be? Can you get to the gathering area and the play area? So if you're in a larger area and you're thinking of using public transportation, you might be able to get to the city, but can you get to the location that they're actually doing the first Saturday? Because you have to be in that location. Can you be there at the arrival time? Can you depart at the right time? So again, if you're taking a train or possibly a bus, do your timetables match up? Of course, if you're driving, then you just got to make enough time that you can get to there and back. You'll probably want to RSVP just much like you RSVP for virtual First Saturdays. You can look at the locations, and it's like the other ones that you need to have about 10 agents before it's going to go, and 3 from each side. So if you're thinking about one location over another, if you got a location that's at 9 agents, maybe you want to help out and throw your hat in and be that 10th agent. But really, there's a difference with a first person that's a first person first Saturday. More people makes quite a different first Saturday than if you don't have a lot of people. We'll talk about that a little bit. You might also think about, friendly faction agents and friends. That's a good time to network, especially if you can catch a ride, to and from. It's got a long time to talk about operations and how to do things and that kind of stuff. It's a good place to put a face to an opposing agent that might be somebody that you've never seen, never met. This will be your chance to, see that person. It's always good to put a face to a name. So the day of the event, what you want to do, how you want to go about it. I suggest that you allow 4 hours for the event, starting about an hour before the event. So if it's going to take you an hour to get to the location, start 2 hours before you need to be there so that you have an hour on the location before you really start. You don't have to have that full hour, but you don't want to be rushed either. So you want to show up in the gathering area. That could be a bar. It could be a pavilion in a park. It could be a restaurant. It could be about anything that the organizers have got together and said, hey, this is where we're going to meet. Try to get there about an hour before. Maybe at least 15 minutes. 30 minutes might be good. And then once you get close, there's going to be a registration portal. Now, if you're gone to virtuals, you may have seen that registration portal, but it didn't mean anything. It means a lot in a first person, first Saturday, because you have to be there and you have to hack that registration portal within a certain time period. I think it's an hour before the actual start time, but they'll tell you, hey, you need to hack this portal. And if they're good hosts, they'll continually tell you, hey, make sure you hack the registration portal. Make sure you hack the registration portal. Because if you don't, a possibility is that you won't be eligible to get that badge. Now, I don't know if those have changed. They may change those rules a little bit. But if the registrations portal is there and it's live, you need to make sure that you hack it. Most of the first Saturdays that are in person will want you to submit your starting stats. So they'll get your name, get some stats, sort of like what's your AP, maybe the distance that you walked. A lot of those would be things that they use for competitions and statistics and those type of things. Also, that way they can report that, yes, this agent was on site if there's ever a question, and going with the badges. So they will then also have pictures. They usually take pictures before, so I think it's 30 minutes or so before the actual event starts. They'll take a picture of people that are there. They have to have a picture with at least 10 agents that they can submit, and that verifies that, yes, this first Saturday was one that went and there were enough people there. Then you have the 2 hours of the event themselves. So we'll talk about the different things that can go on during that first Saturday. Sometimes that's you're with a group of people. Sometimes you're on your own. Sometimes it's a mix. It just depends upon the first Saturday and how they organize it. And, of course, when you come back, you'll submit your ending stats. And here's where some people kind of make a mistake is you don't want to just submit your ending stats, tap your hat, and go hi, bye, and leave. About 30 minutes after the end of that, they're going to fire up a restocking portal. And the restocking portal then gives you one hack and gives you a bunch of stuff. And that restocking portal usually runs for about an hour afterwards. So during that time afterwards, there's usually drinks, food, some camaraderie, people telling tall tales. award ceremony for statistics and other games that they may have done. So, and then of course you got to make it home. All right. So, requirements to get that badge tick. Well, you must be at the location, hack the registration portal, check in with the stats, take the picture. That's something that they would have to do. You may not necessarily have to be in the picture, but it's good that you are. And then you check out stats. You don't really have to hack the restock portal, but you might as well. You burned up a lot of gear. So, typical in-person events that you might run into. One of the big ones is portal hack, attack, capture, those type of battles, the battles that you have normally. That's really good that you can rack up AP. So I've been to first Saturdays where they basically start the 2 hours and the 2 hour is spent just hacking and attacking. And if you're smart, you'll want to be kind of in a location where there's 4 or 5 opposing agents and maybe just you or one of you in that area working on those portals, because as you tear it down, they're going to build it up, and as you build it up, they're going to tear it down. So the more that you can do and less they do, you're going to rack in more points. So it's a lot of times it's just 2 straight hours of just tapping the phone and doing nothing but making AP. Along those lines, if you want to generate a lot of AP, you might as well throw on an Apex and double that AP. And again, depends on what's running at the time. If you happen to be first Saturday that there's a double, well, throw another Apex and you double the double. And again, you can stack those Apexes. So if you know that you're going to be there for 2 hours, throw a couple at the beginning, and that way you won't have to stop and go along those lines. Now, something that hasn't happened just yet, but I assume is probably going to happen, is battle beacons. So we haven't had in-person first Saturdays where battle beacons have been widely available. So once we go back to in-person first Saturdays, battle beacons will be there, and I just bet that it'll probably be something that will become part of a first Saturday event. So you can go back and look at our episode on battle beacons to see what that's all about. It's just kind of an organized win trading, organized battle, people trying to keep control of certain portals at certain times. New missions, a lot of first Saturdays that are in first person or personal ones, they'll try to make sure that there is a mission that's nearby that simply that gets published about the time or the day of that first Saturday. So those people that maybe have come back to that first Saturday now have a mission that they can pick up. Statistic competitions, this is probably a big one. A lot of them will do this type of thing, and they usually pair that with prizes, and they may give a prize to the resistance agent or the enlightened agent that has this statistic. So they kind of group them in 3 things. So those statistics for during the event window. So from the time that you check in and check out, they may look at the AP and say, okay, based on this, the highest AP gain for the resistance is Agent X, and the highest AP for the enlightened agents is Agent Y. Long-term stats, I've seen that done too. So they may say who has max portals deployed for this week, all-time neutralized portals, the most uniques this week. Sometimes they'll even go with the less, who has the least amount of distance walked in the last month. It's just up to those organizers. A lot of the organizers try to want to make sure that everybody gets a prize, or that there's a lot of prize winners instead of just 2 or 3 things. They may also have stats that are just for this event. So who drove the furthest to get here? Who is this? Their first Saturday. Those type of things. Now there's some other ones that you may see, may not be as common as the statistic competitions. Something like capsule soccer, which is kind of a crazy idea. So you have a capsule, and it's one capsule that's used for all the players, And if a resistance agent gets it, they throw in a resonator. If an enlightened agent gets it, they throw in a burster. And then 15, 20 seconds or whatever, they drop that capsule, another agent picks it up, and then they throw in either their resistor or their burster, and they drop it again, they pick it up. So that goes for maybe a time period, maybe for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or until it's full. And then when the time is up or it's full, then some official will count the number of resonators, count the number of bursters, and declare a winner. So that's kind of an interesting one. There's some people who may play human shards, which is usually a cross-faction game, or it can be factional. So you divide people up into teams. You have a start portal and a destination or end portal for each of the teams. So they may be blocks away, and the idea is that you want to get from the beginning to the end. So they set a rule on how players can move. Could be you have to link the portal, which would be pretty tough to do in a short amount of time. It could be that they have to deploy a resonator, or they may have to get a key or something, but probably something that identifies them, like deploy a resonator on that portal. That means that they're there. And then once one of the agents, that is the shard, so to say, has taken that portal, you put a beacon on it. So you put an enlightened beacon or a resistance beacon on that portal, and a lot of times they may say there's no link backs, so you can only go to a portal one time. You can't link back and go back. So you can kind of see on the map where they're going, where their destination is. And of course, the first one that reaches the destination, they're the winner. Not played that one, but it sounds interesting. Dead drop portal hunts, something else that I've not seen, but sounds interesting. Before the event begins, you get a number of plastic bags or anti-static bags, and you put small prizes or clues in them. You hide those at portal locations, and then somehow you tell the agents where to find these things. So you may give them pictures or clues to where the portals are at, and then they go out and find them. So you can do it in a sequential manner. You can say, hey, this is the first portal. There you're going to find a bag, and in this case you might have 8 or 9 bags if you're going to have 8 or 9 people playing or teams playing, and then that gives a clue to the next portal and the next portal and the next portal. So if you do a sequential, you don't have to go in the same order. It could just be, bag 1 goes to portal 2, bag 2 goes to portal 4, bag 3 goes to portal 5, just as long as they end up going through all the same portals. So when the clues are all done, either they've collected all the prizes, or you have the person that's got through all 10 or whatever, and you declare them or their team the winner. Encoded portal lists is another thing. So you create lists of portals, and then you encode the name or the GPS location of those portals, set up teams. Those can be factional or cross-factional, and then give the team the printed list at the start time and let them go. Require each team to hack the portal and get a key, put that key in a capsule, and then first team that comes back to the base or wherever you started with the capsule that has the keys, and only the keys for all of those items, are the winner. So there's a lot of things that you might run into with in-person First Saturday. They're different from virtual in that you are on location. So if you're a role player like me, it's kind of tough to get to some of those First Saturdays. I mean, I'm driving, typically I'll drive an hour and a half to get to a First Saturday. So a virtual First Saturday is a lot easier. If you're in a metropolitan area, you probably will have one, but it's the same group all the time, so you may have to travel to get to them. But if you can, get out in the field, get to that First Saturday. Hopefully we'll be having an in-person one. If not, this coming First Saturday, we've got a virtual one. Get out there, and hopefully I'll see you in the field soon. Later, agents.